Retire young, baby! Hello and welcome to the Durham Talents channel. My name is Jesse Durham. For this installment of our quote series, we're going to cover what I've seen very recently, social media, everywhere, and it's the concept of retire young. It seems like I hear it more and more, and I won't dive too deep in on the history, but if we go back to Bismarck, Germany, just look into that yourself. I've done an episode on retirement and as it concerns the infinite banking concept as conceived and described in R. Nelson Nash's book here before on the channel. So check that out. But the idea here is retire young, right? And I can get on board immediately with get your money right as soon as possible. I think that currently here in the United States, money, personal finance is a very lacking subject when it's one of the most necessary. And I believe that's where we should all start, young and old. Education. Education, I believe, is the most important piece in figuring out the idea behind retire young. But let's talk about it. Let's compare retire young versus by the sweat of your brow. Some have said. There's a really old book that says work 6 days, sweat of your brow, something along those lines. Rabbi Daniel Lapin famously says never retire. That's a chapter in his book, Thou Shalt Prosper. Robert Kiyosaki says that the rich don't work for money. So there's not necessarily a need for retirement there if the rich don't even work for money is one train of thought. And what Nash said is that he removed retire from his vocabulary. That was his choice, was more to focus on passive income. And that was the terminology and the thinking that he began to use. And that's in his book, Becoming Your Own Banker. So if you want to retire young, retire young. Do what you want to do. I'm a big proponent of the idea that when you know what's going on, you'll know what to do. I believe that when most folks talk about retiring, that they probably are meaning that they want more choices. It's not necessarily that they want to not be productive anymore or do something meaningful or follow a purpose or an initiative or a desire that they have, but rather they wouldn't necessarily like to exchange so many hours for X number of dollars. And in fact, that is the way that earning takes place, is either people are being leveraged, people are at work, and therefore their expertise and their time ultimately, or the other way to earn is money being at work. So people can be at work or money can be at work or both. And to be sure, there's a lot of value in considering the idea of working intentionally with purpose towards a position of being able to leverage your time and your experience and your skills for some endeavor and earning. That's great. I mean, don't work for free if you don't want to. Earn as good as you can, as well as you can. But also recognize the ability to use your money to work for you. If you could value and view dollars as employees themselves, well, they can be either lazy or productive, just like a regular employee can be lazy or productive. So money at work would be a great way to incur passive income that would allow you to retire if that's what you're wanting to do. So what I always start with in having a conversation with somebody that's vetting this idea or one of our clients is finding out, what do you mean? If they bring up the subject of retirement, what do you mean by retirement? And if we don't get there, I'll get to a point where I will ask, what do you want your passive income years to look like? And we'll have that conversation one or another. But if that's some mantra that you have or something that you've heard or thought about before, retire young, what do you mean when you say retire or retire young, retirement altogether? And I think that if you have a good idea of what you want, and you have a plan in action to be able to help facilitate that, and you're happy with it, fantastic. It's a neat saying. I love the energy and the motivation behind the folks that I've heard say that. They're go-getters, it seems like, normally. People that are thinking outside of the box. And there's a lot of value in that. In fact, Nash commonly talked about the importance of imagination before anything else in regards to the infinite banking concept. So I'm on board with it in general. I think it's a great thing to cause us to think about, what do we want future years to look like? Are we being imaginative and thinking out of the box, willing to break the mold, not just grinding at the mill the way it's been done before, but educating ourselves, having quality discussions, taking back the initiative, taking back the control in our financial future. Again, I'm the biggest proponent of you can become your own banker. And if that's to the purpose of retiring young, retiring old, retiring at all, never retiring, regardless, if you would like to be able to carry out this conversation further about your retirement, your passive income, what it means to practice the infinite banking concept, you can reach me at 828-817-4223, or you can email durhamtalents@gmail.com. This has been a great pleasure for me. I look forward to our next conversation. Have a great day. Take care.